I did want to circle back on a topic that we talked about earlier, where we were kind of debating, whether or not we wanted an actual African to play Storm, or how we felt about Wakanda and people not from Africa playing Wakandan folks. Well, as of late, just recently, because of something that you all brought to my attention in the group, it's evidently being an African actor doesn't always necessarily mean that that's the end all tell all. And that may even come with some problems. There's still some big racism.
Over 2 decades.
Jemon Hudson has kind of talked a little bit about it. And I would like to, if it's okay with y'all, see how I feel about this, because this kind of took me out. It's kind of struck me out the blue. And let's talk about it on the other end of this real quick.
Still struggling, trying to make a living.
After 30 years in this business.
I've been in this business and making films now over 2 decades, and still, with 2 Oscar nominations, many big blockbuster films, and yet I'm still struggling financially to make a living. I'm definitely underpaid.
How has Hollywood changed in terms of African representation in what you see since you started out to what's being produced now?
I was nominated for a Golden Globe, but they ignored me for the Oscars, talking about the fact that they thought that I just came off the boat and off the streets. Even though I successfully did that, they just didn't feel like I was an actor for whom we should pay any respect to. So this conceptual idea of diversity, it still has a long way to go. Systemic racism don't change like that anytime soon.
Growing up, you're one of the first big Black actors I saw in big budget films. So it's mind-boggling to me.
But that's a sign for you that systemic racism is not something that you can deal with lightly. You have to cope with it and survive the best way you can. I'm still struggling trying to make a living.
After 30 years in this business.
I've been in this business and making films now over 2 decades, and still, with 2 Oscar nominations, many big blockbuster films, and yet I'm still struggling financially to.
Why is this hard for me to accept? Why not the racism part? The definition of struggling.
Well, hold on. It's all relative, right? When you look at his peers who are 2-time Academy Award nominated actors, he's comparing it to that. He's not saying he's homeless. It's not like saying he's in a circumstance where he's going to not eat tonight. He's just saying, compared to my contemporary peers, I'm not getting what I deserve. And this isn't new news, right? We heard Taraji make this noise when she was promoting The Color Purple. I've heard it from Black actors all the time. Giancarlo was about to commit suicide in order to get the insurance money. It's not, and I actually brought this up on my live stream the other day. Like, in Hollywood, Black actors have to fight an uphill battle. It's already hard to get cast in a movie, but then when you actually do get in the movie, you're not going to get paid like everybody else. There's one alpha that gets paid, then everybody else gets whatever. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of. I when he's talking about how he's not getting paid, I agree. I believe him. Right? For all we know, this dude he should be a lot better off, considering the amount of work he's put in over the years, the talent we've seen from him on screen, and how he actually is a draw. Right? Jemon Huntsman is a draw. He can draw people into theaters. I remember watching Shazam. I was like, yo, he's like the best part of this bad movie. Like,
100%.
Right? Like, Jemon Huntsman deserves higher pay, as do a few other Black actors, but I can only imagine what it's like for him as an African actor coming into America trying to get equal pay.
Yeah. I guess the only issue, I don't discount what he said. I agree with you 100%. Jemon is not just, he was in if I'm not mistaken, he's in Shazam, but he was also in a Marvel movie.
Guardians.
Guardians.
He's in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right?
Your favorite James Gunn movie.
Chorus of Pursuer. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, the dude is. I mean, he's working, and I guess it's sad. My issue isn't with what Hollywood is doing. I definitely am not in any way, shape, or any way, shape, or form discounting what he said. Here is let me just play this back one more time, and let me just kind of just delve into exactly what he said here, and I'll press pause here.
I'm still struggling trying to make a living.
After 30.
I'm still struggling trying to make a living. Not my peers are getting way more than me. Not, I don't get the same respect I believe I deserve. I'm struggling to make a living sounds to me like I'm having trouble paying my bills. That sounds to me like I can't necessarily get all the money necessary to pay everything. And that's the part, if I'm being honest, look, I know you're looking at me like, but I just have trouble believing that. Maybe he's not. How do
you think he lives? You think he lived in like?
Isn't he with Kimora Lee Simmons?
No, they broke up in 2012.
They broke up like a decade ago. And no,
I don't know. You
got to remember,
his net worth is literally $4 million. And when you break down your earnings as an actor, you have to pay your agent. You have to pay the manager. You have to pay stylists for your events. You have to pay for travel and things like that. Like if you're doing appearances on shows. And so like all of that. So if you're already getting less than your co-stars and you're not booking roles as often, all of that shit goes away so fucking fast and so quickly.
Okay.
He's got a lot of movies too. My man has been out here putting in work. Amistad, Gladiator,
Blood Diamond,
Tomb Raider, Constantine, How to Train Your Dragon.
He was so good in Constantine.
Guardians of the Galaxy, Fast and the Furious, Shazam, Charlie's Angels, A Quiet Place, Black Adam.
So again,
Rebel Moon.
Oh yeah, he was in Rebel Moon, and actually I like this character in that, even though the movie itself is questionable. But Tarzan. Somebody said Tarzan.
Tarzan.
Was he in Tarzan?
The Legend of Tarzan.
Yeah, that's the one with the scars.
Unknown for that is so. The thing is, like, I'm not questioning whether he's underappreciated, underpaid. That's not the question. The question is he really struggling to? All right, let me reframe this. Let me reframe this. There's Hollywood struggling, then there's regular people struggling.
Come on, man.
I think it's both.
All right. I think that regular people struggling is, look, I cannot feed my kids this month unless I take out food stamps, unless I request loans. Struggling in this context, and I'm not trying to make light on it, but struggling is probably not being able to keep up with your $1 million home, right? So it's probably not being able to. That's not in my book. That is really a struggle.
Struggling. Listen, hold on. You don't come this far just to stay in the projects, man. You don't sit here and make this successful. And listen, I know I lived in the projects, right? And now that I'm out of the projects, I always put this stuff relative, right? When you can't pay your bills, when you have people that depend on you and you can't provide for them, that shit is a mental struggle. You think Giancarlo was in a trailer home when he was contemplating committing suicide? No. But when he said he's struggling to pay his bills, he's got a lot of responsibilities he's got to maintain, right? Jemon Huntsman probably has a lot of responsibilities. He probably has a lot of people that depend on him. He has a lot of things going on in his life. He's got a couple ex-wives. He has a child. He might have $1 million home. God bless him for getting $1 million home, because that's what his success has earned him. And he probably deserves more. Again, when you look at other people who are in those type of supporting roles and lead roles like he was, there's probably his peers that are not African that have way more. So this is the basis for him to say something like, I'm struggling, right? If I don't, and I'm just going to make a name up. I don't know if this is true, but if you were to compare him to like someone like a Norman Reedus or something, Norman probably got way more money, probably got bigger houses, probably isn't in the same circumstance. This man narrates documentaries, is a co-star in films. When you see him, you always appreciate him, and then he's gone. Nah, man. This
Well, I'm not.
it's struggling. I hear you what you're saying. Like, it's not struggling. Nobody's saying he's going back to the project. Nobody's saying he's on food stamps or anything like that. But you can struggle in your own space.
Nah. You can definitely struggle. But what the quote is
not last
the quote. Go ahead, Nadi, my bad.
In 2023, he literally opened his home out for rent. Like, for someone to rent his 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom home.
Okay. Listen.
So I think
is it a large home or is it a modest home? Right? Maybe that'll help Vince. Maybe he's imagining he lives in like Rick Ross's house. I don't know.
It's a small mansion built in 1990 that's in a cul-de-sac. It's 4,000 square feet.
Okay. I mean, I wouldn't consider 4,000 square feet a mansion. But I guess
it sounds like he was living within his means.
I don't want to discount this brother's struggle.
He was renting his house for $11,000 a month.
Yep.
Struggle to make ends meet and struggling to make it as an actor, two different things. I just question whether or not his struggle would be the same as our struggle. Would any of us trade places with him? You know what I'm saying? Even though he struggled, that's my question. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I'm like,
I could say here, if you were struggling tomorrow to pay your mortgage, I could find a bunch of people that's willing to trade places with you, because they'll be sitting there, be like, you've got a mortgage, right?
Right.
But you would still be struggling because you have children, you have a wife, you have people that depend on you, and that's a mental toll on you. So struggling, is not always the literal, oh, I can't eat tonight. Struggling could be your mental health, right? Like, I have to put out my house for rent. Where am I sleeping tonight? Right? It's $11,000 a month he's renting it. So his mortgage has got to be smaller than that. And if you're an actor and you can't afford $10,000 a month to pay your mortgage, some of these actors are spending $10,000 for their lunches.
I want the brother to get more money. I'm not questioning whether or not he's underpaid or underappreciated. I am curious as to what the definition of struggling to make ends meet. This is what he said.
You feel like it just struck a nerve.
Now it didn't strike a nerve. It's just I want to make sure, like, we love Jemon Huntsman for all of the reasons that you listed, all of the roles that he had.
He was Black Panther.
I do. I mean, he was Black Panther in the animated series that was on BET, which I loved, where we actually did have. I think there was a lot of good actors in that. Who played Storm was Storm was in it. They were together. They kissed. Storm would fly off with him and all of that. It was crazy. But I take away. This is Jemon Huntsman. If it wasn't Jemon Huntsman, I don't know if I would feel as much sympathy for him, because in my head I'm like, okay, there's still another class that you exist in, and that class could be downgraded. I don't know. Maybe it's just, for me, it's hard to imagine like folks that are millionaires that still
maybe he's a millionaire, maybe he's still a thousandaire. We don't know that.
His equity is over $1 million if he has $1 million home. You know what I'm saying? So he could live below his wage, but he wants to stay where he is, and he has every right to do so. I think that the big thing to take away from this is that he is not getting what he deserves, what he's earned. And that is something that we can all agree on. As to whether or not he's if he's living paycheck to paycheck, whether or not he has to check his account before he makes any purchases, that's what I'm questioning. And that's what I consider real struggling. Like, it's just hard for me to like equate his struggling to make a living wage or to pay the bills for his $4,000 square foot house, and compare that with the people that don't have representation, that don't have acting, that don't have any opportunities coming up to make $1 million project, who can't do voiceover stuff, and just have to deal with it. So I guess for me, it's just two different types of struggling. There's Hollywood struggling. Oh, I don't know if I could keep up with my $1 million house, and I may have to downgrade to a 3-bedroom house somewhere.
So what is okay? What level of success is okay? Right? Because it feels like it's semantics about this man being a certain level of success, and then I'm not sympathizing with him because he's up there.
Oh, no. I sympathize with them. I just don't think that his struggle is the everyday poor American struggle.
He
I
never
just
said that, but he never said that. All he said was, "I'm struggling to make it in."
Make a way to make
Yeah.
ends meet. And that's
Yes, and
hard to
ends
believe
meet
when
for
you're
him is
when you're a
that.
millionaire. When you
Ends
when you
meet for
have millions
millionaires.
of dollars.
Listen, he's in a different lane, right? He's in a different lane that is unfamiliar to us, right? But when you get in that lane, when you're pioneering something, there's going to be struggle. And maybe we don't relate.
Correct.
Maybe we can't see because our struggles are different. But I don't think admonishing this man saying he's struggling is a good thing.
Well, I'm not admonishing him. I'm simply questioning what struggle looks like for him versus what struggle looks like for my cousin DJ, or what struggle looks like for any of us. I just think it looks very different. Struggle for him is I come home and I can't get that furniture. I can't make this car payment. I have to downgrade. Struggle for us is our house doesn't exist. We're in a homeless shelter. So making ends meet, I just think it has variance. It just has different degrees of variation. I just think that the way he worded it, it's just different. I'm not admonishing him. I think that he's going to get my money. I love him. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go see his movies. I just think that there may be varying degrees of quote unquote financial struggles. And I think that his may not be the same as ours, but I think we already knew that anyway. I ain't going to harp on it, whether we agree or not. Either way, we both love this brother and we both want him to do even more things. I mean, let's not forget, he was just in the Quiet Place, right? You know what I'm saying? Like this, I think this is the part that hurts me the most. It's seeing people do big things but not be rewarded for them. I think that's what hurts me the most. This kind of reeks of when, all right, quick story. Then I want to talk about Nali, if your article, if you wouldn't mind sharing with us some of your thoughts about it, because I thought it was extremely instrumental. I loved it. But my thing is like, all right, as a stand-up comic, when I first got into stand-up, right, I was like, all right, everybody I met that was already doing stand-up that was halfway established, I thought they were rich. I thought they made it. If I ever met anybody that was like on TV, you know what I'm saying? I was like, oh my God, you're famous. You made it. I remember when I first worked with the Wild 'N Out crew, when I first was working on them on tour, and I was chatting with Conceited and Hit Boy and all of these cats. And when I first worked with Conceited, we did some performances in some clubs afterwards. And I was the one who was supposed to hold on to the money. When I gave him the money that we were paid, like he was so happy. And it was like, it wasn't that much money. It was like $1,000, like $1,200 for a quick 15-minute appearance. And he was like, oh my God. And in my head, I was like, yo, I thought you was well off. So sometimes my perception of folks' establishment is off. So perhaps maybe I am thinking of Jemon Huntsman as like somebody who should have Tony Stark's mansion over there somewhere. And perhaps, this whole time, my perception is completely off. And he's been working his ass off and getting peanuts. And that's the travesty, that he's not getting what he deserves, I believe. And that would make him not be able to get the $1 million house. I've spent too much on this, man. Let's talk about something else, man.